Okay, this little project also has a little staircase going in. First step in the staircase is to tear apart all the old treads and risers. We're going to be putting skirt boards in, white painted skirts, white painted risers, and nice oak treads to match the floor we're putting in. Okay, so the skirt boards are in on the staircase here. And the skirt's going all the way up. And the first riser. Tomorrow I'll bring batteries for the GoPro, have a little better footage here. So let's just go ahead and take a walk up here. There's the first riser. And the way I had to finish that off at the top here because of the way it ends. That's the beginning of the staircase. So the flooring can be pulled up now, and you can see Charles is just about ready to pull it up. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up these stairs. Have all the skirt boards in. All the white skirts are in, and the risers. So we're going to fill those and get ready to paint them. Okay, the staircase here, the risers, skirt boards are in. We're getting ready for our final coat of paint on the risers and the skirts. And these are just temporary. These are the old risers here. I'm going to go to the shop and start working on the treads. Well, today we're going to work on the stairs here in the shop a little bit. But so there's all the stair treads. I'm going to sand those and put a stain on them so I can get ready to finish those out. Okay, so before I get started sanding and finishing these treads, they come 11.5 inches. So a minimum tread to code is a 10-inch tread. A 10-inch tread is not a very deep tread, you know, but this is not a big staircase, it's very small. I have 8 1/4 on the risers, between rise and rise, on the stair carcass over at the house. So I'm going to actually cut these down. I'm going to give them, see, 1 1/4 is your standard stair nosing. 2 inches is like pushing the limit on your nosing because you don't want that much hanging out. You don't want somebody to trip and break on that. An extra length, it helps you on the way up, but it doesn't help you on the way down. If you understand the way your toes go underneath the toe space. So you're only going to get a 10-inch tread no matter what. But I'm going to go ahead and make these 10 1/4 and fudge it a little bit. So we'll have right around 2 1/4 inch of a nosing. That'll give me a 10 1/4 inch tread, which is pushing my luck a little, but that's, I like to make the treads. I like the full length treads, but you know, you don't always get what you want. So what I'm going to do here is, you can see I have my table saw set at about an 8-degree angle right there. And I'm going to cut those so it has a slight back bevel, so when I fit those in, that edge there, depending on if there's a slight little rock to the stair carcass where the jacks are built, it will fit in whether it's tipped back or tipped forward a little bit. So I'm going to put a little bit of a slight under bevel on there, and yeah, that's what's going to make that work out real well. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these. So I like to set my shop up here with a little production. You can see I have this right here is where I'm going to lay them all out. I'm going to cut them all, pull them off of that rack, cut them, set them over here. Then I'm going to sand them and pop the grain. Sand them, blow them off, pop the grain. Then I'm going to lay them up on here and let that grain pop, dry. Then I'll be taking them off of there as they dry over here onto the bench, which I'll have another board up there, and I'll stain them and put them back on the dry rack. So that's kind of the process there, and I will film that. I'll film at least one of them going on so you see what that's all about. So I'm going to go ahead and cut one of these. accordingly. So that's what my treads are going to be. Be sure and always pick the good side. That takes care of cutting them. This is all the off-fall from that. I'm not. I just can't bring myself to throwing this stuff in the garbage. I'll bundle it all up and save it. Solid red oak, definitely good for something. Okay, we're gonna run through my little process here real quick. Okay. 180 grit. These have already been run through a wide belt sander with like 120 grit on them. I'm just cleaning up some of the little barrel marks from the machining marks that are on there, but they're pretty well sanded. You could put a stain on these and they'd look damn good just right off the shelf. I'll do that on the face of the tread. And on the top of the nose, and hit that with a little hand sandpaper. That's pretty much all the sanding needs to be done. I'll blow them off. One other thing, that edge where it has the angle, you just want to break that edge a little bit. Just a little bit with the 180, just so it's not a sharp, sharp edge. Alright, I'll get my rag. Pop the grain. This is called popping the grain. Very crucial when you're using a dark stain. Basically, we're just going to get the whole thing slightly dampened. Just like that. So that would be the color of the wood if we were doing natural. But that's going to dry, and now the stain will adhere evenly and soak into the grain really well, raising the grain or popping the grain like that. So then this goes over here on the dry rack. So by the time I get these all done, all the way down, I'll come back and that first one there should almost be dry. I think I'm gonna move my fan in here to make sure they dry. All right, I'm gonna continue that process. Okay, we are ready to start the staining process. So here's my first tread I'm gonna stain. I got my stain, I've got it all mixed. I'm using the Duraseal Quick Coat. I have a rag here, a nice, make sure you have a good clean, nice white rag preferably. This is an old t-shirt of mine. It was falling apart and I use those for rags. You know, that actually was from a place I used to work over 20 years ago, 25 years ago, before I started the wood floor business. And it was called LeClaire Marine. I just couldn't part with the little logo. I cut that out of the shirt and put that up there. LeClaire Marine is no longer in business, but we built a lot of cool fish boats and yachts down there. So you can see these are all laid out here and they're all dry. And I'm gonna start coating these. So yeah, here's the first process. I'm gonna wipe that down and set it over on the rack to dry. I'm hoping you can see that pretty good. This could be my wiping rag right here. I'm just going to dip that into the stain and use plenty of stain. Don't worry about wasting a little bit. I have a nice board down here on my bench that I cleaned before I started this. To make sure I'm not going to make a mess all over my bench or on the treads. So just wipe that stain on there really good. Get the nosing. I go 2 to 3 inches on the back of the nosing just to make sure that I have good coverage, and that if you want to get down there with a microscope and look underneath the tread, you're not going to see any unfinished wood. So there. Then I'll take a clean rag. I'll just wipe off any excess. I'm not going to go crazy on the wiping. Just as long as I get any wet stuff off, we're going to be good. Now we want to leave some stain on there, actually. Just want to make sure there's no globby stuff. So that's it. Wiping it with the grain. You can see using that pad sander in a circular motion with 180 grit, and then you pop the grain, you don't see any sanding marks. So there's the first tread. Golden brown stain. Once you get moving on this, it actually goes pretty doggone quick. Like we used to say in the boatyard, I'm not building Swiss watches. If you're going to stain your floor, I certainly suggest using the golden brown. This goes with everything. It's such a nice uniform, goes on so good, looks so nice on red or white oak. This is actually red oak we're using here. Well, there you go. There's tread number 2. Okay, it's about 6 o'clock in the evening now. I got these coated, 8:30 this morning, 9 o'clock. So I am going to pull these off. They're dry now. This is quick dry. It takes 2 hours for this stain to dry. And coat them. So over here I have about 1/4 gallon of Glitza Swedish floor finish. I don't recommend anybody use this unless you know what you're doing. These are my brushes. They've been soaking in lacquer thinner and they're all ready to go. So this right here, this is an Wisha respirator. You know, I would recommend anybody that touches this kind of floor finish or any kind of toxic chemicals, you wear a respirator and put new filters. These are charcoal, organic respirator charcoal filters, which will save your life. So without this, you would probably be in a world of hurt. I'm going to wear rubber gloves because I don't want to touch this stuff either. Okay folks, we're back in the shop here. We did a coat, we did the stain and the first coat on these treads yesterday. So here they are with a sealer coat. So we're gonna prep these for the 2 final coats. So here's my little routine here. I have this one here is ready to be sanded. I have my little bench, my little sander over here, and a little wiping rag. So I'll set this camera up and I'll do one. And we're gonna take them off the rack, prep them, and put them back on the rack to dry. So I'll just do one of those and let you see what's up with that. A little bit of hand sanding on the nosing, very lightly. You don't want to go through. Light bit on the bottom. I'll blow that dust off. Blow all the dust. I have a damp rag. This time it's just to wipe off and do a final tack on these. And I'll put that back on the rack to dry. And that one's prepped and ready to go. Okay. So these things are all prepped and ready to go here. I take care of that. Last one. So there you go, all sanded, prepped, and ready to go. Now I'm gonna mix my finish up and put the first top coat on this, and then I'll do a final top coat on them later today. These will be ready to be installed. Okay, so for the top coats on this, we're going to be using this product here, which is Bona Traffic. So I like to make sure it's mixed real good. I scrape every little bit off the sides, just to make sure every bit is going to cure really well. And there you have it. So I'll do one of these for the whole floor video, and I will do the rest of them with the music on, so I can listen to some good music. All right, number 1. So on this, I use a water-based applicator, and I'll just dump some of that on there like that. Nice bit, nice amount. Go a little more because it's actually soaking into my brush, my applicator head here. This goes pretty fast, and we do 2 coats of this, back to back, one right after another. So I get my bottom side. And there you go. There's number 1. Now I'll look at it in the light really good. Make sure I have good coverage. I don't know how well you can see that from there, but that's pretty good coverage right there. Okay, so that's that. That's the last bit on that. I'm gonna let these dry and come back and do another coat in a few hours. So you can see that one there, it's already drying. It's already drying. So I'm gonna let these go ahead and dry. I'm gonna shut that door. I don't want any sunshine getting on them. So there's the first coat on the stair treads. Okay, first step, I'll make the pattern. Push that in there until the glue dries, or cools down in this case. That takes a minute, like that. Then I'll take that and lay it on a tread outside. Okay, so I like to put glue tape on mine before I cut it, just to keep any chipping from happening. Pattern on there. Lining up the back edge, which sits right against the riser, and I will trace that out. These pattern parts, I'll pop them apart, clean the glue, and use them again. Okay, let's just see how it fits. A little bit tight. I always cut them a little long and then trim them down. So I'll just shave a hair off of that. And there it is. Now I'll glue it. piece of door skin up like this in case my hammer slips. Hits the door skin. Ready for fill. That's pretty much how you do each tread. I'm going to continue my way up. So it's time to finalize these stairs. So I'm going to fill the little holes as I go down, wipe them off, then I'm going to come back and do a little bit of touch-up work with some paint, and the stairs will all be done. I come up and pull that tape. I'm going to start by going like this. Okay, so we are here on the morning after the final coat. We are going to go up these stairs and take a look at what this floor looks like.